Merry Christmas, everyone. I want to share with you just a brief message that comes from the story behind one of my favorite Christmas carols. The carol is I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day, and the lyrics to this carol were actually a poem that was penned by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. It was December 25th, 1863, and although the bells from the belfries in the churches that rang across the city brought hope and cheer and songs of peace on earth and goodwill to men, Henry felt anything but that. He was in a place of deep depression, sadness, despair. 2 years earlier, he had lost his beloved wife Fanny to a tragic fire. She had been sealing envelopes with wax from a burning candle, and part of it had dropped on her skirt. It caught fire. She ran into the library where Longfellow was working to see if he could help her extinguish it. He tried a small rug. That would not put it out, so he tried his own body to smother out the fire. Unfortunately, the injuries that she sustained, the burns, were so severe that she died the next day. Longfellow himself was also burned badly and was so sick that he was unable to even attend his wife's funeral. To add to this crippling despair that Longfellow had been living in, his oldest son, Charlie, had gone off to fight in the Civil War. He'd enlisted in the Army with the Union and had left home to go fight. Earlier in that December of 1863, Henry had received a message that Charlie had been wounded, severely wounded, almost to the point of being paralyzed. So Henry had jumped on a train and headed down to Washington, D.C. and picked up Charlie and brought him back to Cambridge to nurse him back to health. And this is the setting that he finds himself in as he's writing these words to this now beautiful Christmas carol. The first verse, pardon me while I pull up my slides. The first verse says, I heard the bells on Christmas Day, their old familiar carols play, and wild and sweet the words repeat of peace on earth, goodwill to men. But then as he continues to write, he gets to a verse and you can hear his despair. And in despair I bowed my head. There is no peace on earth, I said, for hate is strong and mocks the song of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Hate is strong and mocks the song of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Friends, we are only a few days away from Christmas 2020, and there are many who, like the famous poet, are probably not feeling much of anything like peace right now. Because you see, when we look around our world, we see conflict and chaos. We see strife and hatred. We see a country that's divided itself, turned against each other. So it's natural to wonder, where's this peace on earth that we sing about? You know, I think there are many people who are hoping and longing for peace on this earth, a utopia of sorts that surely can be awakened by good intentions and hard work. But that type of thinking really only leads to futility. See, the peace that came to earth was not a thing, but a person. And that person didn't come to end wars between nations, though he will one day. No, he came to end war between each of us and God. The angels who declared peace had come to the earth. They were talking about the Prince of Peace, Emmanuel, God with us. Just like Longfellow, we experience trials and tribulations in this life, sometimes more than we feel we can bear, and 2020 is definitely a testament to that. But again, the peace that was promised in the angel's pronouncement to the shepherds was not an escape from trials. No, the peace that was announced was the once-for-all reconciliation between sinful humanity and our holy God. I love the end of the poem that Longfellow wrote, and I don't have any proof of what made him change his mindset, but I tend to believe that it was the Spirit of God who opened his eyes to the truth, and the words are so powerful. Then pealed the bells more loud and deep, God is not dead, nor doth he sleep. The wrong will fail, the right prevail, with peace on earth, goodwill to men. Friends, I pray that as you prepare for the celebration of Christmas, that it will be much bigger and reach further beyond family traditions of gathering and good food and gifts and fellowship, and that the reality of what this celebration really means will sink in deep, deep into the marrow of your bones, deep into your heart and soul. If you've never received the peace that Jesus brought during his first advent, I beg you to ask yourself, why not? There is a second advent that is yet to happen. The Prince of Peace will return, and when he does, there will be peace on earth for all who have accepted the peace with God that was brought by the baby boy born more than 2,000 years ago. He brings it still today. Will you accept it? I wish you a very Merry Christmas, and that it brings more than your heart can hope or imagine. I pray that it's a good time of rest and peace, peace with God. Look forward to seeing you in the new year, and thank you again for your support during 2020 of Restoration Place. Bye.